Howdy out there, everyone. Today we're going to just take a quick look at this new Vinegar Syndrome 4K Blu-ray release of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, a 1986 film directed by Tobe Hooper, and of course starring Dennis Hopper and Bill Moseley, of course, and effect work by Tom Savini. And I would just say this movie is just such a weird cinematic experience. There are some moments of genuine terror in it, but it also has some pitch black humor in it that is just hard to describe. I think if you were to pick one movie from the 80s that really described this sort of debaucherous excess and completely inappropriate behavior, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more peculiar flick to fit that mold than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Upon its initial release, of course, it's because of that almost incongruous tone that the movie didn't really get a good reception. A lot of people were expecting it to be another Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and instead what they got is something completely different with elements of the first movie in it. It's just a gonzo experience, and it's a movie that's actually aged very well over time. It's garnered quite a cult following, and I know that the Scream Factory Blu-ray release, which had been out of print, was fetching quite a tidy sum for people willing to pay. But with this Vinegar Syndrome, it's clear that it's been that release has been surpassed and then some. It's a terrific 4K transfer, probably the best the movie's ever going to look, and it features over 10 hours of supplements. So if you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 fan, that's this is the definitive release, I suspect. I doubt that it's going to be surpassed, but in any case, as you can see, I'm having a bit of difficulty getting the hard case off, but it's got this awesome hard case. Dennis Hopper there, of course, who infamously really distanced himself from the film to the point where he pointed to this movie as his worst movie that he's ever made, and I find that funny because he's made plenty that were worse. Even though I do love Dennis Hopper, I think he's also made some terrific films. He's been in some amazing films, but I just don't know that he was quite in on the joke. Who knows? But he's good in it. I enjoy it. And of course, this is the I believe the studio poster that was released, and if you look closely, you'll see that it's essentially a recreation of The Breakfast Club, which again should tell you what you're in store for when it comes to this film. This is not your typical horror film by any stretch, but again, it does have some pretty horrific moments in it, but filled with just all kinds of weird humor, and most of it works. And then of course this is the disc, and here's, if you want to pause it and zoom in, feel free to do so. But suffice to say, I think that if I had to be, asked what are the Texas Chainsaw Massacres worth watching, I would probably point to, of course, the original. It's the definitive film. It's the best film of the bunch. And then I would probably point to this one as the second best, for a myriad of reasons that might not be immediately apparent upon first viewing, but I think it's just a terrifically gonzo film. And Tobe Hooper, I'm a big fan of his. I think he was just such a peculiar director who made some of the best horror, and just a great atmospheric director. May he rest in peace. And then finally, the third film, which the remake rather of the original film, which was released in 2003. I would say that's the third best film in the series, and then the rest of them are just sort of down the pack considerably. The most recent one on Netflix was just atrocious, but even still, there were a couple moments that were rather inspired. The bus scene with the people filming him and saying they're going to cancel him, that was pretty inspired, but the rest of the movie not so much. So, well, on that note, please do take care out there, everyone. Stay safe, be kind, and keep watching good cinema.